Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 405. I am your host, Keith Andrew, along with Chelsea and Joe. I just want to say thank you for joining us for today.
Thanks, Keith.
Now, for people who want to know what my talk show is about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. But you should prove to people you can still amount to something, and you should prove to people... I had that backwards. Never give up and prove people wrong, and prove to people you can still amount to something. Show them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, and you can hashtag break the labels. You would think after 400 I would get it down. But with that being said, half hour, 45 minutes every time. Say anything you want, curse if you want to, freedom of speech, self-expression, and what can you tell us about yourselves?
So, we're both musicians.
Yeah.
Ah, nice. So, like Metallica, Iron Maiden, were those the music bands that influenced you, or was it more of the classic ones?
For me, it was both.
I grew up with a lot of punk rock, and then I switched over to funk and jazz.
Yeah, nice. Now, my other question I was going to ask you is, if you don't mind me for asking, how did you guys meet?
We met through the music scene.
Yeah, I worked for a company that was a live sound engineer, and she was playing some shows with us.
Yeah, nice. And now, who influenced both of you guys to get into the music theme? I know Chelsea was saying she's been doing this for 15 years, but who was one of those big stars that said, it's because of you, I want to do what I'm doing?
For me, it was Jewel and all of the songwriters that I heard growing up in the 90s. So Alanis Morissette and Third Eye Blind. And Tool in a Perfect Circle, too. A whole bunch of different ones, Hanson, Spice Girls. Yeah.
For me, I had a lot of, I played multiple instruments, so I had a lot of different influences as far as across the board, but I think my main influence was my brother. He's not a famous musician or anything, but he definitely, he inspired me to do what it was that made me happy, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Occasionally I use my brother for an inspiration, but it's always good to use a family or a friend. It's always better to use someone as an inspiration because it inspires yourself just to go one step up and beyond. Now, with that being said, what were some of your favorite songs that you guys ever performed? And do you ever perform in front of big crowds? Do you do charity events? Do you do I say concerts, but you're still on the independent market, right?
Yeah. You want to answer first?
I'm in a band, Carrying the Cats. That's it's an up and coming blues band, and we just won the Long Island blues competition. So now we're going to Memphis in January, and I think that's going to be the biggest crowd we're going to see for a while, at least. As far as fundraisers and charity events, we haven't really done many this year, but we played a charity event for adoption for dogs last year, and I think that was the last time that we did something like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. And where in Long Island are you from? Because my grandparents are from Long Island.
I'm from Suffolk County.
Ah, nice. My grandparents were by Seaford, and my parents used to have a house in Massapequa.
Oh, okay.
I live in Amityville now, so neighbors.
Now, my next question I was going to ask you is the story about the bird. You did mention before how you were just standing outside and the bird came to you.
Mm-hmm.
Was that? Do you think that's a message, or do you think things were meant to be?
I took it that way. She might deny it, but
No, I'm not denying it.
making a face.
I don't know. It was weird. I was like talking about birds earlier that day when he like, and then he just like kind of showed up. So I have no idea. He just came out of nowhere. It was crazy.
Now, my next question I was going to ask you for you guys is, where do you see your careers going in the next 10 years? Do you want to be like Britney Spears in a tour, or do you enjoy being on the independent market?
I mean, right now I like being independent, but if I can find a deal that will still let me maintain the integrity of my music, but like more of like a distribution, so like on a wider scale, I'll go with that. But I mean, in 10 years, I want like, that's like a long time, you know? A lot can happen in 10 years.
That's true. And one website I do want to plug is, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Celebrity VM. So basically, you know, it's for up-and-coming people like the three of us, and the bird for that matter, so the four of us. So basically, Celebrity VM is you get to interact with your fans. So for an example, if you like Breaking Bad, if you like House of Cards, if you like Blue Bloods, you get to interact with the actors, and prices do vary. But at the same time, you get to sign up, and then you can interact with everyone else. And then you can be like, hey, you know, I do this. Or I can be a perfect example. You come across my profile and be like, hey, Keith, I like your talk show. You know, can you give me a shout out? Or, hey, I'm getting married today. So basically, you get to interact with your fans. And also, you get to make some money on the side, if that makes any sense.
That seems pretty cool. What is that? What is the website?
Oh, it's called CelebrityVM.com. I do a commercial for it during the show, too. So.
Nice.
So my next question I was going to ask you is one of the hard-hitting ones, and when we take a commercial break, I'll pass it over to you, is social media. Do you think social media can make you or break you?
I mean, I think it has the power to do both, but it just depends on how you use it. But I think social media is a good thing because it gets you a lot of exposure as long as you do it right. You know?
That's
you have to
true.
send the right message.
So for a perfect example, with all your followers, do you think, well, first off, how many followers do you have? And do you think that will help you open doors?
Yeah, it definitely has helped me open doors for sure. And I don't know how many followers I have. Every platform is different. But like when I do my live streams on Facebook, it'll get like 3,000 views in a week. So, I mean, it's growing. It's getting there.
Well, a lot of people would say that about my talk show too. But, you know, it's a work in progress, and you're taking it one day at a time.
Yeah. It's really impressive that you've done over 400 of them.
Well, officially or unofficially? Unofficially, I did over 772. It's a long story about that, but I don't want to complain to you. So unofficially, it's 772, but officially, it's 406. Well, 406, yeah. So basically, you know, I'm just showing people with all these different things, you know, labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, and to prove to them, you can stem out to something. Well, with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to pass the show over to you guys. Welcome back to episode 406. I'm here with Chelsea and Joe.
And Cupid.
And Cupid. Can't forget about the bird, the mascot. With that being said, I'm going to pass the show over to you. Was there anything you wanted to know, anything you want to talk about, promote? This is your time after all.
I guess I wanted to talk about my music. It's been the main focus in my life, and it's my career, so that's probably a good thing to talk about. So I play acoustic guitar and I sing, and I have a website, ChelseaTakami.com. I'll spell it for you. It's ChelseaTakami, ChelseaTakami.com. And so I have like, videos and like a bio and stuff. And I perform a lot. So yeah, I mean, that's like really, that's me.
Well, actually, going back to the social media unplug, do you think you're at the point, and I'm turning across it around on me in a second, do you think you're at the point where you do like meet and greets and autograph sign-ins, or have people walked up to you and said, I like your songs? Have you ever signed any autographs or met certain people?
Yeah, actually, I've signed autographs, which I think is funny because I'm not like hugely famous yet. But I don't know. I think people like see a potential, so they want me to sign an autograph. So when I get famous, they'll have something. They'd be like, "Oh, I met her, before she was like big or whatever." I mean, I don't know. That's just like my experience, but. I mean, I plan on it. Like, I plan on not stopping, and I do a lot of gigs and stuff. So, I mean, I meet a lot of people along the way, and people are into my music. So.
Now, here's your honest opinion about me. I like your honest opinion. Don't mind me. This is one of those days where sometimes my interviews are great. Sometimes I kind of get myself into a bubble. Have to go to work in a little bit, so my mind's kind of going back and forth. So do you think what I have accomplished, do you think I should do like meet and greets or autograph signings, or do you think I'm not at that point? Because
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm the wrong person to ask because we're just meeting now. So like,
no, the reason I bring it up is because we're both independents and we're in the independent market. So do you think, we're in the same boat, or do you think it's because you're a singer, people tend to go to the singers more than the talk show hosts?
No, I don't think that at all. I think that you're setting like an amazing example, and I think that the more exposure that you give yourself, the more successful that you'll be. Like, I hadn't heard about you until you contacted me on Facebook, but I think it's an awesome thing what you're doing. And I think if more people find out, or when more people find out, that they'll also agree. They'll jump on the bandwagon,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
now, my next questions for both of you is, what were some of your most, people talk about music and groups and certain songs that stand out. Do you guys have any power ballads? Or any songs that say, if it stands out and this is got to be how you think of the group or the band or the performance? Do you guys have any certain songs that stand out?
In my band, Carrying the Cats, we have a song called No Peace in Me that we wrote specifically for the blues competition. When we competed in the Long Island branch, a lot of the critiques that we got were that we didn't have enough blues content. So since then, we've been writing more blues content, which makes sense for the blues competition. And this one song just stands out. It's got a lot of dissonance. It builds up and breaks down, and it's just a very powerful song. And I think it defined our new sound a lot.
What about you, Chelsea?
Yeah, I have a song. I mean, it depends on your mood. A lot of people like my song Romeo because it's like reggae. Kind of. I've been favoring. I have this song called "Carry You Around" that's like, it's older, but I'm just about to release it, and it's like this like rock song. It's got a lot of energy in it, so people will probably like that one too. But
actually, it's funny you should mention that. I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize. And one question I was going to ask you is, what type of gender of music do you cater to? Are you just rock based? Are you considered classic? Do you do jazz? Do you do heavy metal?
I grew up on classical music, so like that's always been like a thing for me. But when I sing and play guitar, I'd say I'm a mix of like pop, hip hop, a little reggae, and like rock and folk. I'm a big mix. So.
What about you, Joe? What would you say? Do you just cater to just the rock and roll, or do you try to go like a little mix of everything?
Well, I'm in a post-rock band, so it's a little bit of the heavier side, but it's also like it's like trancey, like you can just drone out.
They're awesome. To it. You'd probably love them.
That's Calls.
They're so good.
And Carrying the Cats is blues funk. I mean, we're here to party and have a good time, and get everybody dancing.
Now, my last two questions, I'm gonna pass the show over to you. Is one: have you guys ever thought about doing a duet? Number one, and have you ever thought about signing up to American's Got Talent? The reason I bring up American's Got Talent is I was thinking about doing it, and I was all through it. You know, I was doing the application, and then it's like, okay, what type of performances do you do? And I'm like, does being a talk show host fall under that type of category? You know, I don't sing. Yeah, I occasionally do impressions, but I'm not that great. But you guys are in the entertainment business as well, and you're both singers. So I think you guys would be perfect for American Got Talent.
You want to hear something funny? Way back in the day, I actually auditioned, and I like waited online for like 12 hours. It was crazy. I finally got there. I did my song. I did a Jewel song, and they actually put me in front of the producers, like for like the next step or whatever. But I didn't realize that I would have to sing more than one song, so I only had one song prepared. It was like a long time ago, before I was like, you know, bless you, before I was like a professional. Bless you. And so I kind of like messed up. Like I got like really nervous and I jinxed myself. So I didn't end up going to the next round. But yeah, that happened. What was the other one?
Duet.
Oh yeah, I just asked him to play with me the other day, yesterday, on a song. He's still choosing a song.
Yeah.
Have you chosen?
I have not.
Hey, never say never. And, you know, there's a lot of great couples out there that do duets. There's, I don't know if they're still together, but Faith Hill and Tim McGough. There's a couple other ones, but those two are the ones I remember the most. Actually, it's funny that to mention those two. The opening act, I saw them back in 2007 or 2008, or maybe 9 for that matter. And the opening act for Tim McGough and Faith Hill was Taylor Swift. So I thought it was funny. I got to saw Taylor Swift before, you know, her head exploded and it was her big ego and everything. I saw her when she was a nobody.
Oh, that's crazy. Was she good?
And she wasn't bad.
I think she's talented.
She is. I just think she gets full of herself. But who doesn't when you're performing in front of thousands of people?
Yeah, she's huge. I mean, she has like millions of fans, you know?
Now, my next question I was going to pass the show over to you. Was there anything you wanted to ask me? Anything you guys wanted to talk about? Does the bird have anything he wants to say?
Cupid, do you have anything?
Soft-spoken.
No, he's not. He's so loud.
Hey, Cupid.
I don't think he's got anything to say.
Yeah, have that effect on people. What about, do you guys have any funny stories you like to bring? How about this one? Do you have any funny stories you want to share? Or have you guys ever worked in retail before?
Oh my God, I used to work in retail. I worked in retail for a long time. And you know what? I probably have a ton of stories that I can't think of any right now. Why? Do you have one?
Trying to think. I'm trying to change the tone of my show to PG-13, but I used to work over, let's see. I used to work, it doesn't matter, I'm not going back to them anyway. I used to work over at Michael's, and one of the things I hated about it is I used to get in conversations, not really conversations, more of a little conflict of interest. because they used to get really bitchy about saying, oh, you know, this coupon says, you know, buy flowers, you buy one, get one free, and at the very bottom it would say in fine print, may be selective items, but who's going to read that tiny font? So I used to argue with them and say, yes, we can't order the coupon because the coupon says on selective item. Where does it say that? I pull out a magnifying glass, like it says right here. And the other thing that really pissed me off, that really was pushing me towards the door anyway, is there's a whole bunch of other things, but there's a security thing we have to go through. Because when you buy spray paint, you know, because that's one considered a weapon, and you can vandalize cars and stores with spray paint. Mm-hmm. So you would have to ask the couple or whoever you're ringing. Say you guys came in and be like, oh, hey, we want to buy some spray paint. You're doing it for your show and everything.
It's locked up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you unlock it, and then the computer say, okay, I need your month, date, and year. And this guy basically told me to go fuck myself. And I said, what's your problem? It's like, do I look like a freaking kid to you? And I said, okay, well, I can't ring you up. And I looked at the line starting to form. I called a manager. It's like, can I get a manager over a register too? And he said to me, what is your problem? And I lost my temper. I grabbed the screen. And I said, look, this is my problem. Month, day, year. And so he mumbled it, and he said something 684. And I was like, can you say it again? And he's like, no, if you didn't hear me the first time, that's your problem. So I just made something up, and the guy's like, this is what I'm coming to this freaking store, you know, F this, F that. And you know, just a lot of stupid people. Yeah, I worked in the Commons for almost 10, 11 years. Never once was I ever cursed out. I worked at another store, in Michael's. I was always fighting with people with over stupid-ass coupons. I was always being told off. You know, the management didn't know what they were doing. I always got into fights with them saying, you know, I don't mean to complain to you. I do apologize. And, you know, it's just... I'll give you a perfect example. One of the reasons why I left, on top of being told off. I said Fridays and Saturdays I can stay late because I rely on public transportation. So I rely on taxis and Fridays and Saturdays. And the bird had enough of me, so I had that effect on people. And animals, apparently. So, so basically I said Fridays and Saturdays I can stay late because they're open until 1, 2 in the morning. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, well, when am I working? Okay, Keith, you gotta work next Thursday. Okay, what time am I working? 9:30. Alright, you do understand I rely on public transportation? Yes. Alright, and you understand taxis close at 10? Yes. But you want me to stay here to 10:30? That's fine, I can stay here as long as you like, but if you're willing to give me a ride home, I will stay as long as you want me to. No, you can't get a ride home from any of us. That's too creepy. Then, hey, 9:30, I'm out the door. And then you say, oh, well, you're not reliable. You're not... You know the whole retail bullshit. It's kind of like they're trying to make you into the bad guy.
Yeah, that sucks.
What about you? Do you guys have any funny stories you like to share, or?
I can't. Oh yeah, actually I do. When I was 14, I worked at a store, and they thought that I was 16. So I worked there for like 6 months, and then they found out, I don't know. I told them that I was 14. They realized that I was 14. And they fired me 2 weeks later. But they, used, other reasons as an excuse, you know? I don't know what they said, but,
Well, I know you have to be 16 to get your working permit.
No, you have to be 14. Well, when I got it, I was 14. You had to be 14 to get it.
All right. So, what was the issue?
So, like, the store's rules were that you had to be 16 to work there. So they thought that I was 16. So I worked there for like half a year. And before they realized that I was, because one time I had to like fill out a form, and the manager was like, "Wait, how old are you?" I was like 14. He was like, "Oh," and then they fired me like 2 weeks later.
Well, in a way, they're at fault. So I guess they were just covering their ass.
I guess it makes sense now looking back. I don't care that much, but at the time I was like devastated, because it was like one of my first jobs. I was like, how could I have gotten fired?
Well, did he just say, did he let you go, or did he put you on the do not rehire list?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I never tried to work there again. So.
All right. Well, wrapping up our talk show, I do have a couple questions off the air. But when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction? And after doing the interview, I know all my interviews are different. And we can do a follow-up down the road too. But when I first approached you, what was your first reaction, and what made you say yes to be a guest on my show?
I just thought it was like awesome that you want to set this example for people with learning disabilities. I think that's really cool. And I don't think like most people that I know that don't have a learning disability aren't as cool as that. So that alone made me want to do it for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And now the last question I was going to ask you, are you guys on social media? Are you on Twitter, Instagram? Do you want to plug your social medias?
Yeah, I'm in all of that stuff. Mine is at Chelsea Takami for everything. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff. Chelsea is Chelseea, and then Takami's Takami. Chelsea Takami.
What about you, Joe?
I'm only on Facebook, actually, because I'm behind on the times, but my Facebook's Joe Conserva. You can find my bands at carryingthecats.com, callsmusic.com, or you can search us on Facebook or Instagram, Carrying the Cats Calls, or on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music.
All right. You should get on Instagram and Twitter, create a bigger fan base.
Yeah. I know that the Cats have an Instagram, but I personally don't use it. I wouldn't even use Facebook if I didn't have to. It's just my preference.
Yeah, I understand. But at the same time, if you want to get yourself out there and be a bigger star, there are some things you do have to give up.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air about wrapping up. It was a real honor to play, but it's heavy as a guess. Well, the guess is, I don't know where the bird went. I guess the bird had enough of me. But, say I usually do like a follow-up in about 6 months to a year. So I'm looking forward to part 2 with you guys down the road.
Cool.
Nice.